Yo, what is up, guys? It is your boy Lewis bringing you back a brand new video. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to Mr. Nightmare's new video. Is 3 scary stories that happened while quarantining, whatever the fuck. And yeah, this. Let me just remind you guys, it's 2:10 a.m. in the morning. I am so tired, like super tired. I'm gonna be listening to probably the most scariest shit ever, and it's 14 minutes. Damn! So I don't want to talk long. Anyway, let's see what we got tonight, boys. Just came out about a couple hours ago. I was playing, and now I just want to react to it. And then yeah, let me see if I'm recording well. Okay, I am. Okay, here we go, guys. Ah shit. Here, let's read the context. Use of the narration audio for any projects, including the animation, without express permission is not allowed and will be pursued if necessary. Re-uploading any of these videos will be acted upon immediately. Ah, shit. I'm reacting to it, though. Ah, shit. Wait, no. Oh, no, I'm so scared. Why they put this fucking... Oh, my God.
With all this quarantining madness going on because of COVID-19, my family and I have fled New York State to our Massachusetts lake house to avoid contact with other people.
Hmm.
The lake, which I will not name for safety reasons, has a bunch of houses surrounding it, and in the summer months, it's full of boats and people barbecuing and drinking.
Yes.
But right now, in late March when I'm writing this, it's kind of a ghost town here, and it's weird seeing it like this here. Anyway, I wouldn't be here writing this if something didn't go wrong, right? My younger brothers, who I'll call Steve and Glenn, were out on the deck overlooking the lake with me. We were setting up the table for a game of beer pong, which we invited our dad to play with us so the teams would be even. The sky had reached that point after sunset where most of the sky was dark, but there was still that hint of orange on the horizon.
I'm so scared.
The lake was calm and quiet, not a single boat, and all the neighboring houses seemed to be vacant. We're truly the only ones around still. Our deck has a fire pit, so we lit that for extra light as well as heat because it was chilly. The four of us were playing a game of beer pong, when in the middle of it, Glenn grabbed his phone and lowered the music to his portable speaker. He and Steve turned around to look over the deck to the grass below. My dad and I went over to see what they were looking at. Glenn said he heard something below us, and he could see someone walk under the deck. The deck doesn't have a stairway leading down. You have to go inside and downstairs to get down there. So my dad and I went downstairs and out the back door under the deck. There was nobody there. My dad called out a bunch of times to confirm this, and we went back upstairs. The thing is, Steve swore by it as well that he also heard someone speaking from under the deck. Regardless, we cut the game of beer pong short and went inside, making sure to lock the door. My mom and dad were up in their loft bedroom, while I was in the living room playing PlayStation. That's when it started. Loud, aggressive bangs on the sliding door. Accompanied with the bangs was a man's
Oh,
shrieks
shit.
and screams. Sounded like he was screaming for help.
Oh, no.
The curtain to the door was shut, so I couldn't see who it was.
It's so
But
real. It
apparently
sounds
everyone
so
in the house
real.
heard it, because my brothers and parents came rushing to the living room. My dad yanked the curtain open to find himself face to face with some red-in-the-face man banging his fist on the glass, begging to be let in. He was claiming he was hurt and needed help. My dad asked, "Where are you hurt?" He didn't answer that, though. He just kept repeating, "Let me in, I'm hurt." My dad then yelled to get out of here before we'd call the cops. He yanked the blinds shut and told us all to shut and lock our windows if they were open. We all stayed in the living room together for a couple hours, just to be safe. We had a movie on in the background as we talked, but eventually,
shit,
with
I'm
no other
tired.
uninvited visitors outside, we all split off into our respective rooms for the night.
Is that it?
I was browsing
Oh,
YouTube
no.
videos in my bed. when
That's
it
the
happened.
worst. I do that too.
The crash of shattering glass so loud it made me jump out of my bed. My heart instantly started racing.
That shit got me
I didn't know
too.
if I was the only one who heard it because I didn't hear my parents or brothers running out of their rooms. I picked up the phone and called my dad's cell. He picked up and whispered he heard it too, and to stay in my room and lock the door.
God.
I reminded him my door didn't have a lock. Of course, my room, while the biggest of my brothers, was the one room that didn't have a lock. He told me to hide in the closet and call my brothers while he called the cops. I heard footsteps outside my room in the living room area.
Hell,
I tiptoed to my closet and did my best to quietly open and close the door. but the damn hinges just had to squeak. I sat behind a big plastic bag and texted my brothers, who also heard the noise and each locked their doors. It was the most tense moment of my life in that closet. The bedroom door opened, and I could see through the strips in the closet door someone walk to my bed and sit at the edge of it. He then took off one of his shoes and started shaking it, as if to get something out of his shoe.
Oh my god.
He put his shoe back on, then his head actually turned to look at the closet door.
Oh my god.
I felt as though he was looking at me. There was just this silence for the longest time, until he finally spoke, saying, "I know you're in there. I'm sure your family already called the cops. I'm not sure what my next course of action should be."
Get the fuck out.
At that moment, I had to decide whether to stay in there or make a break for the door, and I chose the second option. I burst through the closet door screaming as some kind of adrenaline boost. I made it to the door, expecting him to lunge for me and grab me, but he didn't. I ran up to my parents' loft and banged on the door. My dad opened it and let me in. I waited with them until the cops entered through the freshly broken back door. Then we left the room to meet them. The man who was sitting on my bed was no longer in the house. He checked every closet, under every bed, every little crevice of the house. The cops recommended we tape a bunch of garbage bags over the door and shut the curtain, and also that we stay awake for the night. My dad stayed in the living room the whole night, and first thing in the morning, he ran to Home Depot to buy a glass pane to fix the door. We're still actively quarantining in this house a week later. I'll send updates if the man returns.
Oh man. Oh my god. The knocking on the door got me as shit.
I've been staying in my apartment in Jersey City during this coronavirus epidemic.
Not to be fucking
My roommate
Jersey
has since
City.
gone home to Ohio to stay with her family during all of this, so I've been in the apartment alone. I've been mostly just watching new movies and shows. I try not to go out too much because my city is pretty bad right now. A couple days ago, I was running extremely low on food, so I had to make a mandatory grocery run. I went to the nearby Trader Joe's wearing a mask and gloves, which, including the insane line and limited stock, turned out to be a production.
Dude, what's weird is who takes
I
these
walked home in
pictures?
the
Like
dark.
they're
I
real.
realized the streets were even quieter
Like-
than they were the last time I went shopping, just a week before.
Oh, I know what I played. It's like not
Suddenly, out from an
I
alleyway,
don't know where
some
that
guy
is.
wearing a mask and gloves approached me.
Oh
He had
no.
a baby wrapped in a hoodie and small blanket in his hands.
Oh no.
He seemed very sincere and asking me to let him take his son to my apartment real quick so he could change his diaper and feed him his food. He swore to me that he was clean, and that he really needed this favor for just 5 minutes, that it was an emergency. Hearing the baby's little cries, and the fact that this man even had a child with him and just seemed sincere, the soft part of me agreed. I led him to my apartment building. It was only a
Okay.
short walk from there. We walked up the 3 stories to my apartment, and I let him inside, asking him to close the door behind him. I cleared a spot on the living room table for him to change his child's diaper and whatever. When I turned around, the man was like pacing around, or more like snooping around, I guess. He went into my kitchen to do God knows what. I called over to him that I set up the table for him to use. He didn't answer.
Oh
I started
shit.
getting confused. I walked to the kitchen and saw him looking around suspiciously,
Fuck.
and what else I saw confused me. The man was standing with what I thought was his child, held in only one hand. It took me a second to understand. It wasn't a child. It was just some baby doll wrapped up in a blanket. I'm assuming one of those realistic ones that make the crying and moaning noises. The man looked at me and pulled out a gun from his right pocket. That's where things went from 1 to 100 real quick. He looked at me with a gun aimed at me and said something along the lines of, "I'm gonna take what I want and you're gonna stay in my sight." Of course, I had to say okay with a gun aimed at my head. I wondered if it could be a BB gun with the tip painted black, but even if it was, I doubted I could overpower him. I couldn't risk it. The man pulled out a big black bag from his backpack and filled it with valuables, including my wallet, some of my roommate's jewelry, kitchen valuables, my brother's Xbox which he lent me, and my iPad. It was sickening to watch, but I was the most scared of him pulling the trigger of that gun. He filled his bag and threw the fake baby in it as well, then he left. I called the cops first thing. They came and helped me in contacting the building owner to see the CCTV footage from the halls. Of course, upon seeing the footage, it didn't help much. The man's face was covered by a mask, making it near impossible to even discover who he was. All I can do is urge everyone to be careful, not to trust anyone, and stay indoors until all of this is over.
Oh shit. I mean, not supposed to really trust people on the outside, inside your home, but
The past month, I've been quarantining in my apartment alone with minimal outside contact because of the virus. My apartment is the downstairs floor of a two-family house. The upstairs occupant isn't the landlord, he's just another tenant. I'm actually decently acquainted with the guy. His name's Rico. To be honest, he's a bit odd though. Of course, I hadn't seen Rico because I've been quarantining. I do still have to wake up early in the morning though for work, which I report to on my laptop now. A week ago, Rico started making a lot of noise one night. Late night, actually. I was in bed. It was like past 12. I had to be up early. And all of a sudden, I just start hearing constant thumping noises coming from the upstairs level of the house.
oh no.
It sounded like Rico was stomping around in boots or something. I waited for it to hopefully end eventually, but it just kept going on and on and on. Over 20 minutes of the stomping. I was so frustrated that I got up to knock on his door outside.
It's not
I
it.
knocked a few times loud enough for him to hear. He never answered. I gave up and went back to my room though. Thankfully the noise had stopped. I wasn't sure if he heard my knocks and stopped because of that or what, but I didn't care much. I fell into a deep sleep for some time, till I awoke in my dark bedroom. The clock read 2:30 something. I didn't know what exactly woke me up at first. Then I realized it must have been the fact that the room was cold. And I realized my window on the opposite side of the room was open about a foot. I knew for a fact I did not do that. I got up and quietly shut it, looking around my room paranoid. I checked under my bed and in the closet. No one there. It's not like anyone could fit through that opening in the window, but someone actually went out of their way to open that, and that terrified me. I did a scope of the place with all the lights on, and I could confirm there was nobody hiding inside, so I went back to bed with one eye open. Then the noises upstairs started again, thumping and stomping. I couldn't take this anymore. It almost sounded like he was hitting the floor with a hammer or something. I went up to his door again and pounded on it, yelling his name as well.
Oh shit.
Once again, no answer. I went back inside and grabbed my phone and dug deep for Rico's number. I didn't have it saved. It was buried in my text conversations somewhere. When I found it, I called him. He didn't pick up the first time or the second, but on the third time, he picked up sounding confused and like he had just been woken up. I said in a rather annoyed tone that he needed to stop making the constant noises. He asked what I'm talking about, and I explained the thumping noises. Then he dropped the bomb and told me, "Jared, I'm not in my apartment. I went home to stay with my family a week ago. Call the cops." It suddenly made a lot more sense.
Oh my god,
I
what is this?
realized the noises had stopped ever since I went
What is
back
that?
to the
What
door.
is this picture?
I hung up before saying another word and dialed 911, not wasting a second. As I was on the phone talking to the police operator, I heard it clicking at my bedroom window. Someone was outside trying to lift open the window, which I had just locked earlier.
God.
I screamed as I realized it, and then yelled at the operator to hurry with the police. He
Shit.
said they were on their way and asked me to describe the man, but I couldn't. It was too dark. He seemed to hear my conversation, I would guess, and
God.
walked away from the window. 4 police officers showed up. I led them to the upstairs apartment where the door was unlocked. I walked in behind the officers, and not much searching needed to be done. There was a man with long graying hair down to his shoulders who was sitting on the couch looking up at the ceiling, seemingly laughing. When the officers approached him to arrest him, the man focused in on me, still laughing. He started to point at me, and that's when I had to leave because I was too freaked out. I waited until the man was in one of the police cars before talking to the officers again. I locked Rico's door, and the cops just told me to keep a good eye on the place for the time being. Rico came back the following day to assess what was stolen. He has been staying upstairs since.
shit. Ah, shit. Oh, man. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. Well, I'm paranoid to leave. Like, I need to use the bathroom, but I don't want to go. Oh, my God. Well, yep, guys. There you have it. Mr. Nightmare's new video. My reaction to it. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm gonna be uploading this right now before I turn everything off. Like I said, if you're new, leave a like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the reaction in the video, and hopefully you guys see me alive in the next video. Anyway, stay safe and have a good night. Peace.